Thus, I do hereby dub the junior heroes and confer upon the full rights and privileges to participate in the games. Further...
Hey, what do you mean, junior heroes?
You rookies still don't understand what it takes to be a true hero.
So, what does it take?
Well, that's just something you'll have to find out for yourselves. Just the way that I did.
In Kingdom Hearts, Sora, Donald, and Goofy travel to the Olympus Coliseum, in which they run into Hercules, the hero of that world. The whole theming around Olympus Coliseum is Sora becoming a true hero. He's not there quite yet, he's a junior hero, but he's on his journey to figure out what a true hero is. And today, we're going to be discussing what makes us a hero. What is a hero from a psychological standpoint? Hello everyone, I'm OCDsaster, and this is Kingdom Hearts Psychology, a series where I take my two passions of both Kingdom Hearts and psychology and put them together in a video for you. Now before we begin, I must say I do have a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology, but that does not mean I'm an expert. I am also not claiming to be a licensed psychologist, so please take what I say with a grain of salt, and if you think you need help, please seek a professional. Also, I have links in the description below on the sources that I'll be using for today's topic. I am not saying that this research is sound, I try my best, but I do churn these videos out once a week, so the extensive research is to a minimum. So please keep that in mind when watching this content. Today we're going to discuss what it means to be a hero. Some people think it means you have to be big, strong, manly. Others think you need superpowers, but we're going to dig a little bit deeper than this because there's actually some science behind it. And honestly, it's not as superficial as most people believe. I'll also be pulling comparisons to who I think is one of the best on-screen heroes of our generation, Captain America from the MCU. Now, I'm not going to comment on the state of the MCU or anything like that. I just think that Chris Evans' Captain America encaptures what a hero should be. On verywellmind.com, Kendra Cherry writes about the psychology of heroism. She writes, quote, "In a strict dictionary sense, heroism is defined as taking a courageous action. An example would be running into a burning building to save children inside. Yet in the field of psychology, the definition of heroism can vary from one psychologist or researcher to the next." So not only do the common individuals have a different perception on what a hero can be, but even in the field itself, researchers and scientists kind of disagree or have different opinions on what truly makes a hero, which makes this far more complex than I thought when I started researching. She goes on, according to one review of the literature, researchers from various departments of psychology indicate that a hero is someone who uplifts and enhances other people's lives, models social, morals, values, and virtues, and protects others. Others suggest that the definition of heroism is more subjective and in the eye of the beholder. In a previous video, we actually discussed what values mean to us and how to practice and identify your own values. So this kind of makes sense as well when it comes to figuring out what makes a hero, because if your values are malicious or are not in the moral compass of many people, you could have heroes that many other people don't think are heroes, which can be a slippery slope into something far worse. Say your values are greed, power, money, vanity, sexual conquest. These are all things that people can look at and idolize and want to become. So you have people that like Andrew Tate and think that he's a hero because he preaches these values and stuff that they want, even though it's not morally aligned with what's correct. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. It is subjective. It is kind of interesting when you think about it that what I see as a hero and what you see as a hero could be different. But for all argument's sake, let's put the political stuff aside and just think about the generic, right? What is a hero? And like I said, I like to go back to Chris Evans' version of Captain America in the MCU because he changes over time. But what is the source of his power isn't his muscles, his strength, his super serum. Yes, that's a big part of it. But people forget, when he starts out in the first Captain America movie, he's a scrawny, weak person. He's weak physically, but when you go inward, when you actually look at his heart, his goodness, he's very strong. And that's why he was chosen for the super soldier program was literally because he didn't have the strength or power, so he knows what it's like not to have it. So if they gave it to him, he wouldn't abuse it, versus other people that would. And then even before that, there's a scene where he dives on a grenade that he thinks is live. It's not live, but he dives on top of it while all the other soldiers in the boot camp run away. It's showing you his heroic nature, taking that risk and that sacrifice regardless of size, stature, or status. That is the basis of a hero. Now they have to add all the other stuff in to make it more fictional and big screen showing, because you don't want to see some scrawny kid get his ass kicked the entire movie, but I digress. So that's the core part of Captain America, but then you move over to his traits and his values. At first, he's very much a square and very much aligned with the political agenda and the government of the United States, but as you progress forward in his arc, his story throughout all of the Avengers movies that he's in, he denies them. He realizes the government is flawed. He realizes that America values aren't really good. A lot of them are bad and evil, and so he realigns his entire philosophy to what he thinks are the true values and traits of a good person. A good person, meaning you have integrity, you defend the people that need it, you do the good thing, not the right thing. I talk about that a lot in these videos, and what I mean by that is you could argue that the right thing is when you have to follow the law or do something in that sense, where say there's a situation where someone's life is at stake and you have to break a law in order to save them. You could choose to break that law, which is the wrong thing to do, but then save the person, which is a good thing, or you can choose to follow the law and let that person inevitably pass away, and then you did a bad thing. Well, you did the right thing, but it was bad morally, so to speak. It's a deeper philosophical question that we have to ask ourselves. To me, that is what a hero is someone that is willing to take those risks and be able to outweigh their own personal selfish needs for others in an altruistic manner. Another hero that just came to my mind is Ned Stark from Game of Thrones. He has a moral code that he stands by. And spoiler alert for Game of Thrones so many years ago, season 1, he does die for it. But it's that honor, it's that integrity that he holds through and through to the end. And it's no wonder I find Captain America and Ned Stark to be such good hero examples for TV and cinema, because as I said in the previous video, integrity is a huge value and trait that I personally connect to and want to be more aspired by, right? So that's where all this starts coming aligned together. Diana Aguirre writes in Stanford Magazine about a Stanford psychology professor, Philip Zimbardo, who does a 2008 TED Talk on the psychology of evil, and also his work in heroism and psychology. He started a nonprofit called the Heroic Imagination Project after looking into the 1971 Stanford prison experiment, which revealed how when people are placed in an authoritarian role, can act cautiously. He turned that attention to the lighter side and see if that can be used in the reverse. Instead of being malicious with your authoritarian status, become heroes. The idea is Zimbardo decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and flip this. Is there a way that people can become more heroic when given certain positions of power? And it basically comes down to doing good deeds, essentially. The more you impact the people on a small scale, that compounds and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more you help out and have an impact on the world, the more that gets passed along and it expands. It makes sense. 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 1 is 3. If you keep doing things, keep adding to your good deeds, and keep trying to help others in a good and positive way, that is going to help the world in a small scale, yes, but it's going to be more beneficial than not doing anything at all. Researching this really kind of helped me, because I would consider myself to have a hero complex. I have been fascinated, if not obsessed, with superheroes since I was a kid, always fantasizing and wanting to be a hero, but on a larger scale. But after learning more about this, it's the small things that count. It's being a good person, first and foremost, which aligns with my values, which makes me feel a little bit better. Now, I can always improve and be inspired to do more. I'm not saying now I can just sit around and do nothing. I need to act, especially how things are going in this day and age. I think the world needs more heroes, and the more heroes that there are out there, the better the world's going to become. This isn't a call to action. This isn't saying like you need to do anything. It's just me personally speaking out loud for the first time about, well, being a hero. I like the narrative choice of having Sora visit the Colosseum early in his hero journey and being told he's not quite there yet. He's a junior hero, but he's not a true hero, and he has to go through the rest of his quest and then come back later to really prove his worth. Because he hasn't discovered what it truly means to be a hero yet. He's still quite superficial. He's quite on the very of what it is to be a hero. He's trying to find his friends and he's defeating Heartless along the way, but it's mostly just to find his friends. But as we go through the series, we're going to realize that Sora has to make sacrifices that he doesn't really want to make, but has to for the greater good. And especially in Kingdom Hearts 3, but we're way far away from that game to talk about that.
And that's going to wrap up the video. Let me know down in the comments what heroes you aspire to be, whether they be real or fictional. I'm OCDsaster, and I want to remind you that